So on Twitter, a mutual friend of mine documented a list that he updated throughout the year of games that he had played in 2020. I thought this idea was actually really cool, so I thought, why don't I make my own? So today I casually just wanted to talk about a list of games I've played in 2020. There isn't going to be any fancy editing in this video as I want to keep it more genuine as to what my actual thoughts are. Okay, with that out of the way, I guess I just want to start off this list with Fire Emblem Three Houses. Three Houses is a really meaty game, but it's just so much fun to experience. I know a lot of people had poor expectations of this game because of Fire Emblem Fates, but I'm glad this game turned out really well. The story is interesting, the gameplay is actually really fun. They brought back weapon durability again, which I've always personally loved. But also, like I said, the content in this game is just absolutely massive. There's like 4 different paths, I think, not including the DLC. They all have some substantial depth to them. I do have to say that some of them are a little bit more lazier than others, but the paths that are well thought out are actually pretty fun. Also, this is a bit of a spoiler, but I like how the main villain of the game, their motivations are, you may not agree with them, but you can understand where they're coming from. You know, that's what always makes a good antagonist. It's really better than just having a one-dimensional evil entity that only exists to drive the plot forward, though this game has that a little bit. Truthfully, I haven't completed all the routes yet, but I hope to at least complete another one within the next few months. It's mostly because I've been playing on the hard difficulty, which makes the game a lot longer than I thought it would be. Overall, I highly recommend Three Houses if you're a newcomer to the series, but also if you're a returning fan. I feel like there's a lot it offers to both the casual and hardcore market. Okay, so the next game I played this year was Celeste. And man, this game is actually really great. I know it's a joke that people like to call this game a hidden gem because of how much people praise it, but it deserves the praise. I saw this post one time, and it said, every game falls under 3 categories. It's either a shooter, a Nintendo game, or a metaphor for depression. And this one, yeah, it falls into the 3rd category, but it does so much with its characters and the context of the setting that it feels really authentic and genuine. It's a story about overcoming anxiety in a not so subtle way. It's like you're physically traversing a mountain, but the protagonist, Madeline, is so relatable into how she thinks, the way like her fears of the world. I also like how there's this kind of juxtaposition, like it's a very human story, a very deeply human story, but the world that takes place in is also very magical and fantastical. Like there's ghosts and there's like these hidden valleys with crystals, and there's like a bad version of Madeline that I'm not quite sure is actually real or if it's in her mind, but it's just cool how the characters really ground the game, but the gameplay is allowed to stand by itself and be creative on its own merits. Anyway, I highly recommend it. Don't flame me for this one, but as a big Metal Gear Solid fan, I had never played Metal Gear Solid 1 before this year. Shocking, I know. However, with the release of the PlayStation Classic, which I was able to pick up for $20 last year, there was like 15 of them at the store I went to. I can finally say I've played Metal Gear Solid. This game is pretty incredible. The writing, the voice acting, the music, all of it still holds up very well today, even more than some modern AAA titles. As for the gameplay aspect, I'm a bit iffy on that, as they were just starting to get the hang of 3D, but it was only, I guess, the namesake because the game still takes place over a top-down perspective, which is fine, but it's not exactly the deepest game in terms of stealth mechanics that later MGS games would further improve on. Like, this game is no Metal Gear Solid 3, but it set a bar really high for games in the future with their storytelling and their cinematics. It's no wonder why this game is so fondly remembered years later. Also, I feel the writing in this game is like a bit more constrained or restrained than Kojima's later games. Maybe because it was, I guess, one of his earlier entries where he had not as much creative freedom as he did in the later games. But I feel like it made it so that the plot was more coherent. The not so subtle philosophical moments really really stick out and stay in your memory, like when Psycho Mantis is about to die. That's probably one of my favorite scenes in any Metal Gear Solid game. Also the ending where Meryl and Snake are riding off into, I guess, the sunset? Yeah. I highly recommend this game out. If I were to dislike this game, I don't know what kind of person I would be. Doom Eternal. So, if there's another series that I'm also a big fan of that's not Metal Gear Solid, or Super Smash Bros., or Crash Bandicoot, it would be Doom. What I like about Doom, in general, is that it focuses on the core aspects of what makes a game engaging. You know, lots of action, lots of reward for careful planning and decision making. And the thing is with Doom Eternal is, it takes all those aspects and amps them up to 11, creating this very visceral experience where you have to manage resources while constantly planning your next move seconds in advance. Basically what I'm saying is that this game makes me feel exhausted in all the right ways. Like, there were times where I would have to force myself to take a break after playing a level because it was just so intense with how much stuff the game throws at you. Everything in this game is pushing you to make really aggressive and on-the-fly decisions, such as the chainsaw refilling your ammo, or the fact that all the guns have a limited ammo supply compared to Doom 2016. This makes for a really refreshing experience, especially when you're pumping up the difficulty and trying new strategies, something I found Doom 2016 to be lacking in. That being said, I feel like they could have tweaked some aspects of the game to feel more consistent, like the ammo resource management aspect. While it's not bad, it forced me to use quite a few of my weapons instead of just using the super shotgun. The thing about it is that it was really frustrating, especially when you're trying to get more ammo with the chainsaw, because the animation just takes such a long time. And when you're watching the same animation for every time you have to refuel ammo, that takes like, I don't know, 2-3 seconds, it gets really grating after a while. But I don't know, that's just me. Other than that, this game is honestly my game of the year so far. Okay, 100% Orange Juice. This game is probably my most played game of 2020. And it's easy to see why. Okay, so let me explain what this game is. From the footage on the screen, you might be thinking, oh, it's just a generic anime game. Basically, this game is a board game where you have to try to collect 5 Norma, which is the levels used to for progression so you can beat the game. Basically, you win by either collecting stars, which are the game's currency, or by kills, which are the number of times that you kill an opponent or an enemy on the playing field. Certain characters have different statistics, or defensive or offensive capabilities. Maybe their health is slightly different, or maybe they have a gimmick that allows them to get more kills or stars. I mean, this is pretty standard stuff for a board game, but when you combine it all together, especially with the card decks and the special spaces and the modding potential of this game, you get a game that is not only addictive, but it's also really, really fun. I remember staying up multiple nights over the summer playing this game with my friends because it's just like, one more game, then I'll go to bed. I actually made a mod for this game that replaces one of the characters with Peter Griffin using custom pictures that I drew, and it's just fun, you know? It's just fun. Also, by the way, that mod is on the 100% Orange Juice workshop page, and you can download it in the most popular section. Not a humble brag or anything. But yeah, I highly recommend 100% Orange Juice. I would wait for it to go on sale, because it goes on sale a lot of the time, and you can get it for like less than $2. So, there is a really low commitment to getting into it. Animal Crossing New Horizons. I think this is the game that kind of defined 2020 with the coronavirus and everything that's been happening so far. It's an idyllic escape from the real world that probably a majority of people would want to live in. What I've always loved about the Animal Crossing games that there's a certain sense of comfort when you play them. Like, when you boot one up, you know that while there's not like some princess to save or some big end goal other than, you know, building your village and funding your house, you're just in for a good time. And like all the other Animal Crossing games, this game does provide that in spades. However, I do have to say that it has some content that is pretty lacking in some areas. Like, there's no cafe, which was a really big bummer for me. Also, there's only like one shop expansion. They've slowly been adding updates to the game over the past couple of months, but still kind of disappointing. Overall, if you just want something really relaxing to take you off of what's happening in the rest of the world right now, I would highly suggest playing it because the community is still going strong, and it's probably going to be the best-selling Switch game of all time, so there'll always be people to play with. Speaking of 2020 games, Death Stranding takes the cake, I think, for being the most depressing yet optimistic game I think I've ever played. Okay, this is a bit of a spoiler, but the first mission of the game literally tasks you with taking your dead mother to a place where she can be cremated. And that, when I first played that, I was like thinking, this is really morbid. But then, as you're walking along like this mountainside, trying to get to the crematorium where she's going to be burned, the camera pans out, like it zooms out, and the main character, Sam Porter Bridges, is kind of like this tiny dot on the landscape, and you just see this vast expanse of land right before you, like it's just all green, and music starts playing. It's the song Bones by Low Roar, and it just feels, in that moment I felt this game would be something special. I think a big reason people didn't like this game last year is that it basically is a walking simulator, but it's probably one of the best walking simulators you will probably play. And no, I mean, like, it's not like you're just walking in a straight line and the story is playing over you or something like that. I mean, you're actually walking and hiking and delivering packages, trying to reconnect the United States together. The story, I kind of touched on this when I was talking about Metal Gear Solid earlier, is a bit over the place because Kojima's writing tends to be kind of weird. But the themes this man wants to convey and the characters that he creates are just nothing like any other creator, I think. You could tell there's like a heart and soul to this game that comes out through all the awkward dialogue. Because really, this game is just about wanting to reconnect people again in a time where the world seems hopeless. And that's a very, very simple theme when you really think about it, you know, who wouldn't want to reconnect everyone? But its earnestness and its optimism, even in the face, a literal apocalypse, is what makes me love this game so much. Anyway, I'm done gushing about this game. I might do a video on it someday or not, who knows, but that's basically my thoughts on it. Okay, I'm not joking. This isn't a funny meme or anything. Ha ha, he's funny. Like he's gonna say a meme game is good, but no. The Garfield Kart online beta multiplayer is probably one of the worst experiences I've had in any game whatsoever. It was awful. I tried playing with my friends only to get more and more disappointed as the disconnects started booting each of us out. And when we all finally decided to rejoin together, there would be an infinite loading screen. The main menu theme drilled into all of our ears as we were just sitting there, wondering why we were up at 1 a.m. in the morning trying to get this stupid game to work. I was sick of it. I was absolutely sick of it. It was probably the worst online experience I've had in everything. And sure, the thing was in beta, but it was just left there to be abandoned and a rotting corpse, basically. The developers made a new Garfield Kart game, which is basically the same one as the old Garfield Kart. And I don't know about the online features of that game, but considering how awful this one was, I wouldn't expect much from that. Basically, Jim Davis would be very disappointed. So Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. Now, I've talked about Xenoblade Chronicles on my channel before, and if there's one thing I have to say, is that video was absolutely horrible. I don't know why I even uploaded it. It wasn't even finished. I just put random clips from whatever I could find in there, since I was not wanting to go out and capture some stuff with bad recording quality on my 3DS. So that video kind of sits as like an archive as to something I didn't get to finish, but I wanted to push out there anyway. When I actually like sit down and take the time and make a real Xenoblade Chronicles review, I'm going to private or delete that video because that is like a stain on my channel. But anyway, disregarding that video, if there's anything I have to say about this game, is that the story is probably my favorite story in all video games. Even more than Metal Gear Solid 3, which is already pretty, well, solid. The themes it tackles and the characters you meet along the way and the voice acting, they just all form together to make this really endearing experience that not many games have provided me. The Wonderful 101. So, The Wonderful 101 was a game released on the Wii U a couple of years back. When I heard that Platinum Games was going to release it on the Switch along with a Kickstarter, I wanted to fund it because I really like Platinum Games. Well, I don't really like beat-em-ups that much like Bayonetta. I feel like Platinum Games really takes the time to make their games feel special. Plus, I actually just wanted a special edition of this game because I thought it would look really cool. So I bought it, and I was given the game, like the physical game for the Switch, as well as a Steam code. And I haven't played much of it, to be honest, because I got sidetracked with a couple of things. But from what I have played, it's alright. You know, it's not like, wow, this is the game that's going to save the Wii U that I feel other people talked about when it came out. But yeah, I'll have to play a bit more of it, though. It has an interesting concept. The controls are a bit weird, and the Switch port is a little laggy. But yeah, I'll see how it goes. SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom. Okay, so my voice is starting to get kind of hoarse. Well, not hoarse, my mouth is getting really dry. But when I was growing up, I had an Xbox, and one of the few games that I remember actually really enjoying on my Xbox was the SpongeBob SquarePants movie game. And that game was actually developed by the same studio that made the original Battle for Bikini Bottom. And I just remember it staying really true to the SpongeBob cartoon, also being a decent adventure that was actually pretty fun for a licensed third-party platformer. And I had never played Battle for Bikini Bottom before, so I had high hopes going into this game. So I got the Switch port, and I'm sad to say that the Switch port is honestly really bad. This port in general feels really rushed, which I can't put too much pressure on the studio that made it because I think Nickelodeon was trying to pressure them to release it for the SpongeBob movie, but that didn't pan out because of the coronavirus, so we're just stuck with this game that was not as polished as it could have been. I mean, the core aspect, the gameplay, is still really fun. Some elements are a bit dated, but if you're a SpongeBob fan, I highly recommend you play it. They also didn't update the voice acting for some of the characters, which makes it really awkward in some scenes where you have these modern SpongeBob graphics of this remake of this old game that came before the movie, yet they're using voices from some random voice actor that doesn't even sound like Mr. Krabs or Mermaid Man. And that bummed me out a bit, but what can you do about it? If you do get this game, I highly recommend you get a version that's not on the Switch, like the PC version, which apparently has mod support. Not officially, though. Overall, yeah, I wish this game was a bit better, but it's just your by-the-numbers remake, really. Persona 4 Golden. Okay, so I had never played a Persona game before this, and a friend of mine gifted it to me after I said that, to which I replied, "But why? Why would you do this to me? I don't deserve this." He was really cool about it. But anyway, this game is really fun. Like, the moment I started playing, I was actually really invested into the story, and especially the cutscenes, which are actually like anime. And I think there's a Persona 4 anime. I know there's a Persona 5 anime. But anyway, I really like the story, like the murder mystery elements in this small town. I haven't beaten it yet, so I can't say too much otherwise, but from the gameplay standpoint, it's actually really fun. I think I just put it on normal, but it's a good challenge. I might just lower the difficulty, that way I can just beat the game, but you know. Speaking of RPGs, I also tried out Dragon Quest III this year, because I was in a bit of a Dragon Quest mood, especially with the music. Like, the soundtracks for these games, oof, they're just absolutely amazing. Like, I highly recommend you listen to a few. Like, look up relaxing Dragon Quest music when you're going to do your homework next time, because it's actually really, really good study music. But anyway, this game is a really bare bones RPG for how early it was in the genre, and you can't put any blame for that. That would be really stupid. Me trying to compare this game to something like Persona 5 would be, how could you compare it? You just can't. What I really like about this game is that there's actually a lot of customization for what you're given with, and it's pretty cool that you can create your own custom characters, basically. I named a few after my friends, and I just pretended that, we're all going on a grand adventure or something, This game really captures, I guess, the aspect of early games that I feel is a little lost today, which is the importance of imagination when it comes to playing a game. When your game looks like this, and you're expected to go on this epic quest to save the world, you gotta think outside the box a little, that way you feel a bit more immersed. And that kind of gets to the point why I feel a lot of people like RPGs though, because this world becomes bigger than you think it is in your mind, and I respect that. Also, please watch the Dragon Quest movie on Netflix. It was actually a really fun time, and I don't want to spoil anything, but it's just give it a watch. I highly recommend it. Okay, the Super Mario 3D All-Stars collection. Yes, I'm one of those suckers that actually bought this thing. You know why? It has HD Mario Galaxy on it. How could you say no to that? I don't know what much to say other than it's 3 Mario games on a Switch cartridge, so I still need to finish Sunshine because I've never actually beaten that game before. But yeah, it's a mediocre port. Should not have been $60. All the other stuff the internet people have been saying. And on to the next game. Among Us. I don't really like Among Us. I get why people do like it. It sounds like it's a really fun game with your friends. Probably is, but I have played with my friends before, and I don't really get the hype behind it. Now let me preface this by saying that I don't really enjoy games like Mafia or Werewolf in real life, because I feel like there's just a lot of standing around and doing nothing. You almost have to lie to win, and it feels kind of I don't know, it just feels kind of scummy in a way. That's just me though. That's just a personal preference I have. It's alright if you like it though. I'm just not a fan. Among Us, I feel like, is a bit better in that aspect, because there's more stuff you can do, and you're always actively engaging in the game. But I don't know, it just feels really frustrating when the game is centered around trying not to look suspicious and arguing with people. I don't find that fun. But anyway, yeah, if you like it, I totally get why I just don't like it. Okay, Doom 2. This is the classic variant of Doom I'm talking about. Basically, the scenarios and environments and stuff inspired part of Doom Eternal, so that's kind of cool in a way. But as for the game itself, I don't know, I just feel really mediocre about it. Doom 1 had this really, really nice sense of pacing, especially in the first episode. Not so much in the later episodes, but you got the shotgun, you got the pistol, you got all the different and varied weapons, and you go through these really fun level designs that test your key hunting and strafing abilities, in classic Doom gameplay. And this game has more of the same, right? It's just Doom. It's on the same engine, of course. But the level designs in this game are just, I don't know, they just feel kind of garbage. I looked into it a bit more, and apparently John Romero didn't work as much on this game as he did on Doom 1, which kind of bummed me out because some of the levels in this game just had me scratching my head. Some of them were a bit too confusing, or like they had this weird gimmick that didn't really fit in with the rest of the game. Some of them take place outdoors in what's supposed to be a city, but it's just like these rectangular prisms that are supposed to a city, and you just kind of feel this aspect that, man, this game feels so much lamer in comparison to Doom 1. Because in Doom 1, there was a certain sense of consistency, especially when you were in the UAC buildings, because everything was kind of confined, and you didn't get to see more of the scale of everything, because you're just going through these like labyrinths of hallways and stuff. And in Hell, it's a bit more sparse, but like in the later episodes, but I feel like it has more of an excuse than like being a city, Doom 2, it just feels like a fan game. I don't know. Like, I feel sorry for saying this to the people who worked on it, but I don't know, it just feels like a fan game to me. I like all the different enemy types that are in it, and the super shotgun, but other than that, yeah, this is just another way, yeah. Ring Fit Adventure is what I would like to call one of the most surprising games I've played this year. Not because it was bad. Not because, like, I opened the box and there was a snake inside or something. No. It's surprising because of how much it made my thighs burn when I played it. If you were to compare Wii Fit to Ring Fit Adventure, the only similarity I can think of is that they're both exercising games. But Ring Fit Adventure really ups up the ante. I'm not talking about like a few extra exercises or whatever like that. No, this is a full-blown adventure. This is like hours of your life, like months of your life even. All the worlds, all the different exercises, all the reps you can do, the difficulty settings, the gameplay mechanics, it all fits together in this really, really fun way. I don't know why more people aren't talking about this game. This game is actually, like, when I was playing it, I was thinking, wow, this is the future of games right here. You have this, it felt more revolutionary than playing Wii Fit. I was like, wow, it can sense the controller can sense my heart rate, and it can do all these different things with the Ring-Con, and look how creative they were with all these exercises, and like, this game is amazing. Plus, I feel like with exercising, a big thing that people get demotivated by is that there isn't really a sense of progression when you are done with your reps, when you are done with your routine, because you don't notice the results immediately, and that's why people give up. But with this game, there's a level system, and there's worlds, and there's all these new exercises you can get, and you can get smoothies, and you can buy stuff in the store, and it keeps you motivated to keep playing, because you're not thinking, wow, I should probably do this for my health. No, you're thinking, no, I should do this, that way I can get to the next world and beat the boss, and then get to the next level, and then get more smoothies and get more levels. That kind of stuff makes a great game, and this is a great game. I highly recommend it. Undertale is a game that will not go out of the public's consciousness for, I feel like, another 100 years. Everything about it, from its characters, to its story, to its music, all creates this really cohesive experience that you can play time and time again and enjoy yourself each time. Just this year, this game had a full orchestration of its soundtrack, and how many games can you say that for, really? I don't really know what to say about Undertale that hasn't already been said. I will say that there are some aspects of the game that kind of shine through, that make you remember, oh yeah, this is an indie game, like how all the areas in the game are connected. It feels kind of awkward. Sans. That's all I have to say, is this character. No wonder why this game is so popular. Don't Starve Together is one of those games where you kind of have to grind it out a bit, that way you can learn the mechanics, and then you can fully appreciate it for what it is. A really nails-biting, hard game that tests your resource management skills and I guess the optimization of your time management skills. I had a decent amount of fun with it. There were quite a couple of boring moments I was playing. Other than that, it's a good time if you really want to get invested into it. The game does ease you into a few things, but other than that, you're basically on your own with how you want to tackle it. It's a pretty daunting game. Okay, I'm cheating a bit on this because I played Rivals of Aether a bit in the last few years, but this game I started playing a bit more because I was looking for something that to scratch that Smash Bros itch because the online in that game is horrid. And Rivals of Aether, this game is clean. The reason I didn't get into it a few years ago is because I think the main thing was I couldn't find a character I liked playing. Like, they're all really cool, but they're not my style. That is until they released the Definitive Edition this year, which unlocked all the characters in the game. And I finally found a character I can kind of click with, and which is Clarin. Now, Clarin's a sword fighter, and she's actually really fun to play. Rivals of Aether is basically, it takes the more in-depth neutral. For those of you who don't play fighting games, neutral is kind of like a term in them. I would explain it, but it's kind of a little complicated. But anyway, just say, basically, Melee has stuff that appeals to fighting game players. This game also has stuff that appeals to fighting game players. As for casual players, I feel like this game is kind of lacking in some areas. There's the Steam Workshop, which lets you play as a bunch of really dumb but fun characters that people have made, but if you're not playing this game like with a semi-competitive mindset, you're going to get bored of it quickly. Which in that case, I highly recommend you play Slap City. That is a great platform fighter. Rivals of Aether is pretty fun. Don't have much more to say other than Google Chrome dinosaur game. This game is absolutely disappointing. It comes from a multi-billion-dollar studio. It lacks a lot of features that games today have, like online rankings. And it only has 2 colors, which I was very disappointed in. I don't know, I just found this game. I don't know where it came from, how it came to be. But it's just, 1 out of 10. Okay, so the last time I played Minecraft, like really seriously, was in 2014. And since then, they've added a whole lot of updates. To the point where when I came back, I was like, what's going on? Minecraft is one of those games where it's not like, oh, it's a one-done sort of deal, I never have to play this game again. No, you always come back because it's more of a platform than a game. It can be used as an educational tool, or it can be used as a place to play mini games, or just to create, or like to survive. There's this one Minecraft server about journalism that I joined that's actually really fun. The thing that I got out of Minecraft this year, though, is that there's this, like, even though it was bought by Microsoft and it's gotten tons of content updates, there's this still underlying thing about it that it makes you feel, wow, this is an indie game at its core. You know, there's this sense of this dreading sense of loneliness when you're playing it by yourself. You know, you're in your own world. You'll just be mining or something, and then some really sad song plays, like Sweden, and it makes you like contemplate and think of how empty you are in this vast world of possibilities. You're the only person there. That's something I don't imagine a AAA game doing that much, except for something like Death Stranding, which is more of a creator-driven game. Underneath all those layers of new, like I said, new updates and stuff like that, you find this core, this very core about this game, about loneliness, you know? And there is this book I had, it was about the creation of Minecraft, before Notch got into all that controversy a while back, and it sounded like he was a very lonely guy. Notch he did not have a very, very vibrant existence. So it's cool to see how that kind of DNA transfers over still after all these years, and it makes me appreciate this game even more. Okay, this isn't a game, but it's a mod for a game, which I think I would consider a fully featured game. Plants vs. Zombies Eclipse is honestly one of the best mods I've ever played. And no, I'm not mispronouncing Eclipse, it's actually called Eclipse. What it is that it's a mod to Plants vs. Zombies 2 that makes it more like Plants vs. Zombies 1. This mod will challenge your perception of Plants vs. Zombies in ways I didn't even think of were possible. If you think Plants vs. Zombies 1 is a really easy game, or Plants vs. Zombies 2 is a really grindy and stupid game, this is the game for you. It takes every element I love about the two mainline Plants vs. Zombies games and combines them into this really cohesive and almost never-ending adventure where you're constantly getting new plants and upgrades and visiting new worlds, and the story is different, and it's just the themes, the level themes, like, this is basically a fully fledged game. There's no way around it. Anyway, I highly recommend playing it. Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga. This game is actually really good. I got it for like $15 at Walmart because they were doing a clearance of the 3DS games. I busted out my 3DS. It's a bit worn out now, but played perfectly well on there, and it's pretty fun. I still like Bowser's Inside Story, but this game is actually really great. The gameplay is amazing, and this was in a time where Nintendo wasn't afraid to have their RPG games take place in different scenarios with different villains, different plot points that aren't just from the Mario mainline games. So it kind of made me nostalgic for that time period, but I hope Nintendo kind of realizes the error of their ways and they go back to making games like this. Well, my first console ever was the original Xbox. I had never played Halo on it. So now with a PC and some extra cash, I was able to get Halo 3 on the Master Chief Collection. You know those aspects of your life where you wished in a certain time period or you could have experienced a certain event? That's how I feel about this game. I want to be back at the height of Halo and to experience what everyone else was experiencing. Halo 3 is a really great game. This was the kind of game that made people want to have an Xbox. It's the reason why Microsoft is actually still a big name in the gaming industry. Its legacy is so ingrained into the FPS genre. So yeah, I really enjoyed this game. The campaign was awesome. It was a bit short, but I loved it. The multiplayer is pretty great. And it's just a overall fun time. Okay, speaking of first-person shooters, I would like to talk about one in particular that is simultaneously new while retaining aspects of older games. That game I'm talking about is Dusk. For those of you who don't know, I'm secretly a fan of arena shooters, or how some people like to call them, boomer shooters. They're fast-paced, they're fun, they rely on a lot of skill, and overall they're just really fun to pick up and honestly great to get good at. What Dusk does is that takes some of the best elements of Quake, one of the most popular arena shooters, and it mixes them in such a way with its themes, like its horror themes and its gameplay themes, that makes it feel really refreshing but fun. The atmosphere of this game is actually pitch perfect though. The story is about a treasure hunter who decides to go into the town of Dusk because he heard that there's some sort of treasure there. What ensues is a combination of rural America mixed with Eldritch horror that creates this, like I said, this atmosphere like no other. And all of this is done with really polygonal graphics. This game is actually legitimately terrifying at times. There's like these enemies that are invisible and that you can only detect them by sound, and then they'll get closer and closer to you until they finally jump at you, and it's really well thought out. I was planning on making a few maps for this game because I was getting really into it, but I kind of lost track of what I wanted to do. Plus, I was having issues with the mapping software, so I kind of gave up after a little while. But if you like really fast-paced action games, or you're just looking for a new shooter, something that mixes up an old formula, yeah, try Dusk. Great game. Okay, so the next game is New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe. That was a mouthful to say, honestly. While this game might seem like another Mario title to many people, to me, I have this really strange history with this game. Ever since 2014, when I got my Wii U, I've always wanted to play this game for some reason. I think it's because I was a really big fan of the first New Super Mario Bros. Growing up, as well as New Super Mario Bros. Wii, and New Super Mario Bros. 2 for the 3DS was actually the first game I pre-ordered, which is kind of dumb to say that out loud, but those were simpler times, and for some reason I was really excited to play New Super Mario Bros. 2. Getting back to New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, back in 2014, Nintendo was doing a promotion that if you bought Mario Kart 8, you could register your game and get a free game in addition to it. Then I think the choices were Wind Waker, Game & Wario, and New Super Mario Bros. U. All the way back then, it was a very tough decision for me, but I eventually chose Wind Waker. Since then, this game has kind of eluded me. It's kind of been on the back of my mind for a couple of years. You know, when you kind of miss out on an opportunity, and that scenario keeps playing back in your head over and over again, like trying to think of all the ways it could have gone if you asked someone out, or if you went to that different restaurant, you know, that sort of thing. But for some reason, I was experiencing this with New Super Mario Bros. U. It was just the weirdest thing. Just part of me really wanted to play this game. So I saw during Black Friday, there was a sale for New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe for $27 at GameStop. And fortunately, I remembered that I had a $30 GameStop gift card. I have to say that this game is probably one of the most blandest experiences of any video game I've ever played. Every time I would sit down to play it, I felt like I didn't feel anything. I didn't feel any emotion at all. I was just, my fingers were going through the motions of playing the game. I was controlling Mario and everything. And that music, it was just playing in the background. The same music I've heard in every single New Super Mario Bros. Game was in this one. You know, everything. I know that there wasn't anything new in this game. I know what people have told me about this game, but there was just vacant feeling when I was playing it. Everything about the game is technically sound. I mean, the graphics look decent, it controls well, the art style is alright, even if it's a little dated. It's the level design is what you would objectively call good. You know, it balances clever new level concepts with brilliant execution. But even after all that, this game didn't touch me at all. It was just a retread of every other New Super Mario Bros. Game I've ever played, and somehow it felt the blandest to me. I think this is a really good time to discuss what goes into making the soul of the game. That is something that's harder to quantify. It's easy to say, oh, the art of this game is good. Oh, the music is excellent. Oh, it controls kind of decently. But even if you were to put all those elements together when they exist in their own vacuums, sometimes you can find that end result is not what you expected. And I feel a little bit of this has to do with the context surrounding a game, like the year it was made or what were the design influences at the time. Because by itself, this game is actually pretty good. But when you play other games and you see other pieces of media that's very similar to this game, it really taints your perception on how you experience it. And that's really hard because sometimes I just want to have an unbiased look at a game and say, wow, this game is really good by its own merits, and the people who worked on it should be applauded for their innovation and creativity. But with New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, I can't help but feel like those hours I spent playing the game were just a fever dream that just went in my mind and went straight out. I can barely remember any of what I played other than the main level themes, I guess, like the, snow, ice, grass, whatever. And that really shows how forgettable this game is. That said, it's all relative. I mean, my experiences of playing New Super Mario Bros. Ever since I got my DS all the way back in 2007 are different from someone else's experiences. Like, let's say a kid who received a Switch on Christmas morning and this is their first Mario game. So yeah, sometimes you grow out of stuff that you loved to play growing up, and the company is just going to keep pushing out the same thing because there's nothing inherently wrong with the formula, and they keep making the same amount of money, if not more anyway. And it's those times that you just have to remember that it's okay to move on, There are other properties or other IPs that can give you that same sense of joy and bring some refreshing insight into an old formula that may not exactly be like the original, but they're made by people who loved aspects of the original to truly capture the magic of it. That's what happened with me and Pokemon. I absolutely love Pokemon White, and I played so much of Pokemon X and Y. I've played some of the older games, like Platinum. I love Platinum. That one's a great one. Also played Black 2, not White 2, but when I got to Pokemon Sun and Moon, I just grew tired of the whole thing. Well, you could say it could be the quality of the games themselves. I feel like the formula itself is what was making me tired of playing new Pokemon games. So that's why I didn't go out and buy Pokemon Sword or Shield. Wow, I really almost spent 10 minutes talking about New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe. Don't know if I have enough footage for this, but if you see me recycling the same footage, please understand that I did not want to record 10 minutes of New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe because I am using the Switch's video feature for recording. Finally, we come to the last game I really went in depth on this year. By in depth, I mean I played a decent chunk of it to understand, I guess, the gameplay loop and the scope of the game. There were a few games I played this year that were in my Steam backlog that I only tried out for a few minutes or so, and I feel like giving an opinion on them wouldn't be that responsible or educated enough for me to express my feelings on those games. But anyway, the last game I want to talk about is Yakuza 0. Yakuza is a franchise that has eluded me for the longest time. What finally made me pull the trigger and purchase one of the games wasn't, someone raving to me about the series or me reading a passionate review about Yakuza or anything like that. It was actually the stupid Baka Mitai meme that was going around earlier in the year. I'm actually recording this on New Year's Eve because I wanted to play as much of Yakuza 0 as I could before making this video to fully explain my thoughts about, how I think of the game so far. All I can say is that I absolutely love it. I honestly regret not finding out about this series sooner. I'm only 10 hours into Yakuza 0, but one of my favorite aspects of this game so far is how it manages to balance seriousness with silliness. Some of my other favorite video game franchises tend to do this as well, such as Metal Gear Solid and Doom. When you're trying to balance conflicting tones in a piece of media, it's really easy for one to outweigh the other. If you go too far in a direction, such as making the game too serious, you lose missing out on adding levity to the situation and giving the player room to breathe. However, if you add too much comedy to your game, the player won't take any of the stakes seriously, and they'll just start rolling their eyes once the characters start cracking jokes too much. So when a game manages to find that balance between those two sides of a narrative is what makes it really compelling for me. The way Yakuza manages to do it is it basically splits the game into, I guess, two sections. You have the main story path, and you have all the side content that you can do in the game. The main story tends to be a bit more serious, focusing on crime drama and the story of Kazuma Kiryu. I probably mispronounced that, and also Goro Majima. The side content, on the other hand, tends to be really light-hearted and fun. You can do many things, such as sing karaoke, go bowling, play mahjong, and help people out on the street with their daily problems. It's interesting how these two pieces of the game function together as they feed into each other. For example, you'll be playing the story, you'll be getting really invested, such as watching all the cutscenes and focusing on these characters' motivations and the overall themes of the plot. But sometimes that can get a bit tiring and a bit overbearing. So when the game drops you off to do some of the side content, it lets you unwind for a bit and lets you digest all of what you just watched or played through. This is true for the side content as well, as once you get tired of that, you can go back to the main story and get some, and experience this really fun yet serious narrative that just keeps giving more and more to you. And I absolutely love that. That is what makes me love this game so far. It's just a great time, After I finish Yakuza 0, I hope to play the remakes of the first two games, as well as get the remastered versions of all the other Yakuza titles that are coming in January, I think. As well as the new one that came out, was it Yakuza 7? This series I feel like this is going to be my next favorite series. Yeah, that's basically all the games I played in 2020. I thought this would be kind of a fun video to do because I guess I had a lot of free time this year, and I imagine all of you did as well. I hope my opinions in this video weren't too controversial. The Among Us one was probably the spiciest take I've ever had on this channel, but it is what it is. Also, I just wanted to say thank you guys so much for staying subscribed and to keeping up to date with what I'm doing. I didn't put out really any content this year. I don't really have an excuse for that other than the fact that I just wasn't really feeling it, and I feel like a lot of people out there were feeling the same thing. I guess there's this certain sense of apathy I could sense amongst my friends and my family. That really brings you down, and it makes you not want to do the things that you enjoy sometimes. I feel I work the best under pressure. When I have a deadline, for example, I tend to procrastinate a lot. One thing I've realized since making that procrastination video I did a year ago is that it's alright to just exist. You don't need anyone to tell you to get everything done with your life right away. I mean, you still want to do things before your time comes. Of course, I mean, that's why we're here, but at the same time, don't feel pressured to chugging away at your hobbies if you're not feeling you're in the mood to create. Yeah, we may have a limited time on this world, but we still have a lot of time. As long as we're not in prison or something, I feel like we still have a lot of time. I guess that's what this year has taught me as well. Don't feel too bad if your dreams haven't started right away, or if you've wasted a lot of your free time, I guess, procrastinating on them, because you have time. It's just a matter of doing it. It doesn't exactly matter when you do it, it's just that you do it in the first place. There were a few unexpected things that happened to me this year that turned out to be really positive experiences, and I guess expanded my horizons. And they weren't even directly related to my main hobbies or what I like to do in my free time. For 2021, I plan to at least get my channel to 100 subscribers. I feel like I could have gotten it to 100 subscribers this year if I posted more content, but like I said, it is what it is. For 100 subscribers, I have it's not really a big surprise, but it's just a little something I've been working on that's kind of made me laugh while making it, and I really want to share it to you guys. I was very tempted to post it as soon as I made it, but then I thought, no, this is special. I can't just post it off to the side. You know, I want this to be kind of like a celebration, because I've had this channel for 8 years, and there's been videos that I've uploaded on here. They were stop motion ones, and I deleted them a long time ago, and I kind of regret that, because there was like a certain charm to them that I feel would have been fun to look back on. That's all I have to say, really. I hope you all have a wonderful new year. Here's to a wonderful 2021. Baka mitari kodomo nano ne. Yume wo utekiru surite. Uso ga heta na kuse ni warana ni igao wo misita. I love you mo 6年いいわな口べてたの本身に不器用なのにどうしてさよなら言えたのダメだダメよダメだよあんたが好きで過ぎすぎてどれだけ豊しいよ世間をゆがままにお前がバカみたい That was absolutely horrible.